truth and light the way. Through darkest nights we'll find the day. Courage to converse until we're free. A better world for you and deep, where silence grows, a spark ignites, a courage shows. We break the chains, the walls we climb. Together we can redefine. Voices rising, hearts awake. Through every moment, the steps we take. Discuss the pain, reflect the fire. Transform the dark, lift each heart higher. Converse, a bridge to start, healing the world, one open heart. From the battles fought to the words unsaid, through heavy burdens, the paths we tread. From the songs we sing to the fears we face, we find our strength in shared embrace. Voices rising, hearts awake. Through every moment, the steps we take. Discuss the pain, reflect the fire. Transform the dark, lift each heart higher. Courage to converse, a bridge to start. Healing the world, one open heart. An open heart. From the battles fought to the words unsaid, through heavy burdens, the paths we tread. From the songs we sing to the fears we face, we find our strength in shared embrace. Voices rising, hearts awake. Through every moment, the steps we take. Discuss the pain, reflect the fire. Transform the dark, lift each heart higher. Courage to converse, a bridge to start, healing the world, one open heart.
Welcome to Courage to Converse, where we discuss tough topics, reflect on personal experiences, and explore paths for growth and understanding. Before we dive in, I want to acknowledge that some conversations may touch on sensitive or challenging issues. This podcast is not intended as a substitute for professional advice or support. If you or someone you know is struggling, resources are available to help. In the U.S., you can call or text 988 for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, or text HOME to 741741 to reach the crisis text line. Remember, our goal here is to spark meaningful conversations while fostering respect, understanding, and personal growth. So let's get started.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Courage to Converse. I appreciate everybody joining in tonight. As you can see, we have a couple new guests with us this week. We have Tim and Wanda. They are a couple. They are part of our aunt family and everything. Their daughter, actually, if y'all want to explain what's going on with your daughter.
It's his stepdaughter, my daughter. But she's down in Jacksonville having completed successfully a kidney transplant. She was diagnosed with lupus in 2009 when she became pregnant with my granddaughter. And she's, of course, lupus is lifetime autoimmune disease.
Right.
And lupus chose to attack her kidneys. And so in 2019, her kidneys failed on her, and she's been on dialysis since 2019.
Right.
And so she started 2 years ago working her way to get on the transplant list. And so she was approved on the transplant list last year. Actually, it hasn't even been a year, has it? It's been about 6 months since she got on the one in Jacksonville.
She went to Emory, and then almost a year to the day. In the same month, she went to
The Mayo Clinic in
the Mayo
Jacksonville.
Clinic the Mayo Clinic in Jacksonville. And by
Got on a list, got approved quick.
the first part of July, she was on the list, yes.
Right on.
There's been some ups and downs. She took herself off the list because of the holidays. But then once she got back on the list, it was boom. I mean, right
She was
after the
top of
first
the
year.
list,
Yeah.
and she actually got a phone call for a kidney when we were in our snowstorm. And she said, I really have to tell you no because we don't want to travel.
Right.
It's not safe to travel right now.
Right.
So they said, her and her dad said, we're taking
But
the.
everything's been a success so far.
Everything
Yes.
with the kidney has been a success. They've just been having to get some blood levels straightened out so she could go leave the hospital. They have to stay in Jacksonville for a month.
Yeah.
The kidney itself,
Kidney and everything's doing good.
today's 2 weeks, she had it done, and it's been working.
It's on her post on Facebook, freedom,
Yeah, she
So-
got out today, late this afternoon.
That's awesome. Well, welcome Wanda, welcome Tim. We appreciate y'all coming. Tim and Wanda have been watching. They're Pappy and
Mimi.
Mimi have been commenting the past several weeks, and Tim asked, can I join? I was like, absolutely, you're part of the family. Let's do this. But today we're going to be talking about a topic that is important to me. Most of these topics are important to me, or else I wouldn't be talking about them. But life progress, lessons, mentors, and cliches that shape us. This is important because throughout life, if you don't have a good, solid mentor, or, someone to lead or anything like that, someone to go to for advice and things like that. I mean, you talk to your spouse, you talk to your girlfriend, boyfriend, brothers, and all that stuff, but mentors who you've seen successful, or sometimes I've taken people who have failed, talk to them, they tell me, don't do these things or whatever. Or they may have failed at that point in their life, but now they're doing better, right? Those are mentorships to me as well. Right, so there's a few cliches that I personally live off of, and some concepts that I've lived off over the past several years that I've learned from some of my mentors, and some of the things that I kind of, I guess you could say, preach regularly because they are important and you can apply them. I learned about them through a work environment, but I can apply them when I tell people, you can easily apply these concepts to everyday life. So we'll get into that. And before we get started, Jojo, you got anything to kick off or anything to say?
No, I'm just excited that we have our new guests today.
Be our guests. Be our guests.
Absolutely.
Actually, I do want to say a couple things. My wife and I, Amanda and I, got matching tattoos tonight. Not completely matching, but mine's an anchor. Hers is a wheel or a helm from a ship that says, "May you be the one to guide me," and mine says, "But never hold me down," which is kind of a cliche type thing. These things in life are important. We're there to help each other and support each other, but not hold each other back or hold each other down. Rather lift each other up. So I know it's kind of cliche and kind of cheesy, but I don't care. This is how I live my life.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is JoJo had these shirts made for us. These are for our nonprofit. We put the care and scare, haunt for a cause. This is our new slogan. So look for these. We will have these out at some of our events and everything. And speaking of events, I don't have a flyer. I think Peanut can bring one up to us. Peanut, if you're watching, can you? Oh, yeah, actually, hand me that. This event here, this is something that we will be at. This is Inked Nation. This is a tattoo convention that's going to be held at the Perry Fairgrounds. We will have a couple booths there. We'll be giving kids or even adults, if they don't want a real tattoo, we'll be giving fake tattoos, temporary tattoos, to promote the event and everything, and showcase the nonprofit and the haunt and things like that. We'll also be dressed up in characters and things like that. But the couple that's putting this event on, shout out to them because they're doing the damn thing. We mentioned it a couple weeks ago, but they are hustling. Sabrina is hustling. This is her brand. This is what she's doing, and she's killing it. Some people are haters and doubt her, but she's doing it. So, and this will prove it right here. This is going to be a huge success. She's going to make tattoo history in Middle Georgia. So,
Somebody needs to.
yeah. And this tattoo here, she actually did a few weeks ago, right before the podcast. That's one reason we were late. And then this tattoo, her husband did tonight. So, one's got one arm, one's got the other. And then the other one, I wanted to share one of our flyers for an event we're doing, the Shenanigans Shamrock Escape. It's going to be an outdoor escape room. It's going to be a lot of fun. Nobody's doing anything like this in the area. We got some more good, surprising, and very happy things coming along down the road as well, but we can't quite release them, but we will let y'all know about them when we can. So let's jump into it. The first things I want to talk about is mentors, known and unknown. You know how I mentioned earlier, you have mentors that sometimes they're successful, so you want to look up to them and talk to them, pick their brains and everything like that, but sometimes they're people who sometimes don't feel that they've succeeded in life. However, you've seen the struggles that they've gone through, right? This girl right here, Sabrina, the things that she was telling me when I was getting my tattoo, right? Like, maybe she had a tough struggle in life, but she is hustling and doing the damn thing. She might not know, but I look up to that, It's completely silent and invisible to her, but watching her, what she said she's gone through, what she said she's going through and everything, and then being able to pull off something like this with a full-time job, kids, working late in the shop and everything like that, and she's also planning a huge major event like this, that's something to be proud of, and I look up to that. So, do either of you have, silent mentors, people that you look up to that they don't quite know that you do?
There's people at my work that I do because of the kind of work I do.
Mm-hmm.
I really can't go into detail about it. But just a lot of the people that I work around and the people I see on a daily and some of the stuff that we do, because our job can be up and down emotionally. You can some days have the highest highs and the lowest lows all on the same day.
Right.
Can
you talk any bit about what you do?
I work for the Georgia Department of Public Health, and I'm just a van driver, transportation supervisor where I work at. But our clinic provides. We have a housing program. We have a case manager program. We're trying to start a dental program. And of course we have the transportation. And just on a daily, some of the struggles that I see people with, we all work together like a small family.
Mm-hmm.
Over the last, I guess, 3 weeks, my life has been, or our lives have been kind of, almost say completely flipped upside down, but there's been a lot of struggles. And we, at work, they ask me, they don't just push it aside. They ask me and I talk about it,
mm-hmm.
and we all pray about it, things such as that. I've had mentors all my life, we all do.
Mm-hmm.
But the silent ones, I think, now that I'm thinking about it, are a lot better than the ones that are always kind of out there.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes someone can be a mentor for you at different times in your life.
Right.
But some of the best people I've ever met have been through my job. And
Right.
as I've gotten older, and I've started, especially probably in the last year or two, I've started putting myself out there a lot more than I usually do,
Mm-hmm.
because I kind of feel like I'm at the gate of
Right. I'll tell you, since I've met you, you come out of a shell that before, like when you first got here, you came to the first meeting that we all had, right? You guys have been coming to our haunt for years, but you've came down and had the meeting, you're quiet, and you're like, I don't know about this, and you're like, well, what about this? And then you started getting, you're like, man, I think I bit off more than I could chew, and then it came to be game time, and you showed out. And then since then, like, you're talking to everybody more. I don't know if you notice it, but I notice it. You're talking to people more, you're coming out, you're excited, like you're just talking about a little spinning thing, like you weren't doing those things before. At least that's what I did, right? So you've been able to speak out and talk to people and everything,
Well,
semi-inspiring.
I mean, I've always said, and I don't want anybody to take this wrong out there, or even in this room, but I've always said, my people, who live in dirt bags.
Well, that's
Those are my people.
Yeah.
People that you wouldn't normally hang out with, go see, or anything like that. it's just,
And this industry is full of it, right? Full of that type, but not really. We're good people. We're actually good people too. You know?
again, I can't go into a whole lot of detail about what I do for work, but I can say that in 2 days, I probably deal with every aspect of life situations for different people, from homelessness to drug addiction to things that would make people cringe.
Right.
And honestly, I just see them as people these days.
Mm-hmm.
There was a time that I'm like, nope, I don't even do it, blah, blah, blah. But these days, I can sit down and have a conversation with them as good as I can with you.
Right. Because they're people too. You know? So, a minute ago, when you're talking about this, you said, I'm just a van driver. Do you truly believe that? Because if you sit and think about it, I guarantee you get into some conversations with these people. And the things that they're going through, you're probably helping them out.
I do, but I learned a long time ago something that my grandmother, probably one of the biggest influences in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I remember something she said to me one time that just stuck out, and it was always stay humble. Over the years,
My brother says that all the time.
over the years,
Humble
that
yourself.
over the years, that's probably turned into a coping mechanism, a defense, or whatever, for just life. Because I've had people say, don't put yourself down. That's put yourself down. It can be, but I've learned that I'd rather do that than I would. I struggle to find words, but if I look at it any other way, like, yeah, I'm out here doing this great service, all that, I just feel like that humbleness would be gone and a part of me would be gone.
Right.
I'm afraid of what would come of something like that. I would rather hear people tell me that, but it's hard for me to go. I will look at someone and go, this is how I run my transportation department, and please don't micromanage.
Right.
And luckily, all my bosses, they won't do that. As long I work in a way where they don't get complaints and phone calls, because it can be, that's just how they prefer it. If they're not getting complaints and phone calls and I'm doing my job the right way, sometimes they may have to ask me a question. But aside from that, I know I do provide a good service, because if you listen to the news on a daily, that is one of the biggest. You could have everyone in the Middle Georgia area volunteer their services for just a few hours a day, and you still would not have enough transportation that is needed for getting everyone to every single doctor's appointment they need to get to,
Right.
because they don't have a way to go.
Right. You see, that's part of what we need to understand, right? The things that we're trying to do with the nonprofit and stuff, and get those types of services, any kind of services, to the people that need it. Because there's some people who aren't self-advocates, right, to reach out for that help, right? So that's one of the things that we want to get involved with this. I know you've heard us talk about Rising Together Middle Georgia, getting all these nonprofits, all these people who want to help. One, they don't know how to help, they don't know who needs help. So we're trying to get all of the folks together to figure out what the needs are, what the services are, and then dish it out. You know what I mean? So how about you, Wanda? Are there any silent mentors in your life?
I can't really think of or pinpoint any, but when it comes to mentors or people that I believe that God puts people in your life for seasons. You will have people, I've had people that were I consider it my best friend. I mean, just thick as thieves. And then poof, something happens, either they move, or something happens, or there's a conflict or whatever, and they're no longer in your life, and you find yourself thinking, geez, and then it's just one of these things of, I believe that God puts people in your life to either assist you or you assist them through a season.
Right.
And then they move on and another one comes about.
Okay. I'm going to add on to that. It might be a pretty touchy subject. We had that experience very recently with someone that it has, and hopefully eventually in the future will still be part of our haunt. It's been a very tough time, in my household, in my haunt family, and everything going on. But the person is growing themselves quite a bit. They should be proud of what they're doing. However, had to step back a little bit for now, for that person to be able to help themselves, and then eventually, everybody will reunite. I feel very strongly about that. However, that person has said, we have helped them, kind of exactly to your point, God, or whoever it may be, puts us in touch with people for a very specific reason, for seasons, right, to help us push through events. And that person has grown quite a bit since I first met them, right? Again, it's a touchy subject, and I'm not going to talk any more about it on many parts, but I think it's important that we continue to push each other to be better. Some of these cliches, some of these topics tonight are going to touch on this very specifically. So how about you, Joe? Any silent mentors in your life that you can think of?
There's been countless. Through recovery, I've had many, and they come and go, and many of them went back out and did their thing, and half of them are no longer living, unfortunately. But I agree with exactly what you and Wanda were just talking about. I believe God brings people in our lives for a reason or a season.
Right.
The ones that come in for the season, 9 times out of 10, it ends in a negative way at the time, but it's a learning lesson for both sides, I think. And
it should be, though.
There's mentorship in that. Yes.
100%. That's exactly what we're talking about tonight. That there should be, no matter what happens in life, every experience should be a learning experience.
Absolutely.
They always say, another cliche, learn something new every day. If you don't, you're doing something wrong.
No, you don't, is the day you die. If you're not learning.
You should always, and if you think you know everything, you're wrong. There's always a way to learn something new, no matter what it is.
It's not necessarily a mentor, but, I find myself sometimes questioning, have I done something weird, or am I living differently? Because you hear about people that have a grade school, elementary school friend that they are still thick as thieves. They are still, even if they don't even live in the same city, they are thick as thieves. They're like sisters, they're like brothers, it's like they always stay in touch. I never had any of that. I had my friends when I was growing up, my childhood friends. I don't have them anymore. I had other friends as I was growing. Those aren't, and it's like, wow, I don't have long-term friends, so it's like, I guess all of mine are just these seasonal, for me to help, or they help me through whatever.
Well, I have a topic of this, sometimes self-evaluation, right? Like, I've thought similar as well. Like, I have one really good friend. He's like a brother from another mother. My buddy John, like, we're like this. We'll go months without talking. But every time I get on that phone, it's like, you talk to him every day, I have other good friends that I've grown up with and stuff, and one of them, their mom and dad, I'm actually going to speak about because they played a very important role in my life. But I think a self-evaluation, lay all those things out on the table. You know what I mean? And if you think about it, you'll be able to like, oh, maybe I am the problem, or no, maybe they were the problem, or they are the problem. But we go through these things. But I'm sure when you think about that, you're like, those people are no longer in my life. Probably, a lot of them probably for a good reason, right? You may have blocked them out, because there's certain reasons we do that. You know what I mean?
Well, and people genuinely grow apart, literally.
Yeah.
From youth, into adolescence, and then even further. You just one of my best friends literally met him on the kindergarten playground. So you're talking, over 40 years of friendship.
Yeah.
He's got 5 boys. God bless his wife. Got mad grandbabies everywhere. And every time we talk to each other, it's just like old hat for us. It's just like the first time we hung out and played on the playground and stuff like that with all of our Star Wars toys. So,
John, his kids call me Uncle Jomo, because my nickname was Jomo, and we called his dad the Warden, rest his soul. He took me in when I decided to leave my dad's house in high school, right? And, they were always good to me. But we, like he said, we grow apart, and we always say, oh, I'll contact you, whatever, but we all get busy with life as well, right? And we just, sometimes, and I think that's part of, like, our problem is, like, we like to be to ourselves a lot of times, but over the past few years, like, we've changed that way. Like, we've never had as many people come into our home, with the haunt and the nonprofit and everything. We've never done this, right? So this is new to us, but to me, it's heartwarming, it's welcoming, I love welcoming people into my home and build relationships and stuff like that, because we honestly haven't had that. We've always been mostly strictly family for the whole time we've been together, 22 years now. So, I wanted to talk about, we talk about silent mentors. What about mentors that you rely on a daily or like a regular basis, even if it's not daily, but weekly, monthly, on a regular basis? Do you have any at this point that you can fall back on or rely on? Your spouse?
She's my rock, my angel. The other day I was at work and I was listening to some old 80s stuff, and Scorpion song, Send Me an Angel.
Oh, yeah.
And automatically that just sent me back to when I was a kid, thinking one day I hope I can at least have a relationship or have that spouse that just stays with me, because I learned a lot about relationships early on in my life, about what you do and what you don't do and things like that. And I have applied those to being with her. Now, don't get me wrong, this woman has put up with, over the last 25 years, she has put up with probably more than most people would.
Should we go into that, Tim?
And she has, no, we're not going to go into that, but she has hung in there, and she's not afraid to put me straight when she needs to.
Do you do the same for her, or does she need it?
Sometimes she does, but not as often as I do.
Right. You agree with that?
I'm the grounded one. I'm the one that keeps moving forward and just looking to the future and just staying positive.
Right.
I have to pull him out of the darkness sometimes, because he gets in his own head.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to remind him.
It's a scary place to be sometimes. Don't do that. I know that. I'm here for you, brother.
I'm pretty much the more positive, upbeat person in our relationship.
Yeah.
Do you have mentors that you count on, rely on throughout life?
I can't really say I do. I I don't really, I can't think of any.
Right now, I would think Aaron.
Mm.
Because when you look back over the past couple of years on everything that Aaron has done, talking about our daughter, my stepdaughter, her daughter,
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about everything she's done to get to the point to even be able to get on the transplant list. There was a lot of things that had to be done. She, with her mental health, with her just health in general. And she sat down and she figured it out and she pushed forward the entire way. She's a single mother.
Mm-hmm.
She does get help from family and whatnot, but she is a single mother struggling to do it on her own. And she put the work in that was needed, that she was told to get on this list, this is what you need to do.
Right.
And she had a hard road ahead, but she did it.
Right. So that's, in a way, a mentorship in its own. It's a good lesson to learn from somebody that pushes and drives, and
Yeah.
you want something to push for it.
Not to say mentor, but I admire, because even before all of this with her, my granddaughter, due to the lupus, my granddaughter was born premature. My granddaughter stayed in the NICU for months. She came home, and then some other things came to light, and then she was back in the hospital. And my daughter has had to learn to care for her. My daughter had to learn a G button, how to care for her. She was on oxygen for several months,
Right.
or years, whatever.
Yeah, years.
I mean, no, I always tell her that I am proud of her. And I also tell her that God chose you to be her mama.
Right.
Because he knew that you could do for her what she needed done.
Right.
And of course now Kenna is just a thriving 15-year-old. And
Full of energy.
She doesn't have any setbacks, except that she ended up being diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, so therefore she has medications to take, but other than that, she's pretty much normal. And so, and then everything Erin does, as a matter of fact, she has actually enrolled herself in an online classes. And so she's looking at moving forward.
Yeah, she's, honestly, she kind of put it this way in a conversation one day, she's preparing for life after the transplant.
Right.
Where she has started working a job again, and she was only a couple of days a week, but when this is all said and done, then she'll be full-time. And then she's, like she said, she's doing the online classes, to get, I forget what she's going to school for.
Business administration.
Yeah.
But you can see over the past couple of years how much she was diagnosed 5 years ago. And for 3 years or so, she was just kind of stuck. It was just like she was just stuck, just spinning her wheels, and just, this is the cards that were dealt to me, this is my life now. And then once she started realizing that there was a possibility for a transplant, there was a possibility for something outside of 6 hours, 3 days a week in a dialysis chair,
Right.
then this outlook and this future,
So
these
Opened
doors
up.
open to
we
a
think
future.
about that. That goes to last week's podcast, right? Mindset matters,
Uh-huh.
right? That I won't say lose your mindset, but if you get in that mindset, it's easy to drag yourself down. But if you say, "Oh, there's hope. I got this," like changing your mindset, can change so much, and that's an inspiration in it alone of itself in and of itself is what I meant to say, is a mentorship or a mentoring situation. You know, you could look at somebody that was down and everything like that and be like, you know, she's having all these health problems and all that, but yet look where she's at now. Change her mindset. She just had a kidney transplant. She's free now, and she's got a recovery, you know, coming up, but she's going to push on through this.
Well, I mean,
She can come out bigger and stronger in the end.
I hadn't really thought about it too much, but just as we sit here, and I know it's like all of a sudden it's like everything's focused on Aaron or whatnot, but honestly, when I sit here and think about it, she really is, I mean, some kind of mentor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Kenna is a teenager, but maybe one day she can look back and see everything that her mom has done and realize and like, wow,
Right.
she can use that to.
That's fuel.
100%. I mean, don't underplay it. It's a
Well,
reality.
again, that's me.
I used to tell her all the time that
Pretty.
very pretty. I used to tell her all the time that
Jolie just
you
came in
know,
here
with-
with her prom dress. Sorry.
with the cards that you were dealt and everything you've had to go through, you could have easily turned to an addictive lifestyle. You would have had every reason. You would have had every reason to turn to some type of addiction for escape and release, but you didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And that is significant in
It's
itself.
very influential, you know, because, like, think
That
about,
is significant in itself.
because you struggle with the addiction, right? Like, how easy could it have been,
Oh,
even
absolutely.
for yourself, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Your cancer and everything like that.
Yeah, I hit 45 and, you know, I get diagnosed with cancer. You know, it's like you get clean and sober, and that's one of the things that I would teach all my guys. Look, you get clean and sober, there's no guarantee that you haven't damaged your body and destroyed parts of your, you know, organs within you. You don't know what's coming down the pike, but you have a choice. You can get diagnosed with cancer, or, you know, you have liver failure and they, you know, can cut sections of it out for it to regrow back, and it's going to be a long road, but you can make that choice today. You can say, nope, no matter what these doctors tell me, I am not going back. I could have dove right into the bottle and not done anything about it. I wouldn't be here today
Right.
if I had done that.
You know, to tie all this together, you know, because we talked about silent mentors, and we've been talking about silent mentors and things like that. All of these situations are a mentoring situation, but it's how you think about it, right? JoJo going through his cancer, going through his addiction, going through all these things, but look where he's at, right? His mindset's changed, right? Looking at that, I just brought chills to myself thinking about that, because where he's at now, it could have been way worse. Where Erin's at now could have been way worse if she chose to do that, right? So it's a mentoring situation in and of itself when you think about somebody who can take such a negative thing going on in their life, and just your mindset, you know, is a positive influence on other people. But people have to allow themselves to look at it that way. You know what I mean? One of the things growing up, I have a brother, he's been on drugs, he's been an alcoholic and all that, but he's come a long way. However, at a really young age, he's 8 years older than me. I remember very vividly when he was heavy on drugs and stuff. We were in a room, and there was a couch. I'm a very visual person, so I can remember. In the room, the couch was in the corner, and he was sitting right in front of me over there, and he was coughing, and it's just this nasty stuff he coughed up in his hands. And he put it in my face, and he said, "Don't ever do drugs like this." And it was easy for me to say no to drugs through life. You know, that was when, back then, they were doing DARE, you know, keep kids off drugs, all that stuff. That's not what stopped me. That's what stopped me. You know, he would always tell me, don't do these things, don't do these things. I smoked weed in high school and stuff. Not much, but I drank a lot in high school. But the drugs, I was offered, ecstasy was huge at my school. I never did it, you know. Shrooms, even though it's a plant and all, you know, like, I didn't want a bad trip. I'd be that guy that had the bad trip and flip out and do something really stupid. You know, so it was easy for me to not do drugs. That was, in my life, that was a silent mentor. I saw the struggles that he had at that time and throughout life, it was easy for me to, and I thank him for that. I'm sorry he had to go through those things, but because of that, I didn't have to. You know what I mean? And some of the other mentors are not silent mentors; they're very strong mentors in my life. I mentioned my buddy Cameron. His parents, they kind of took me in under their wings between the ages of like 10 and 13. They bought us a trailer, moved us out of the ghettos of San Bernardino, and moved us to Lake Elsinore. And Wendy used to literally come to my trailer because I wasn't going to go to school, giving my mom a hard time. And she would pull my ass out of bed and get your ass to school, She'd come in, are you really sick? And you're trying to fake. She's like, don't play those games with me, right? But they would push me, right, and make me be the best person that I could be. And Daryl, his dad, he always had conversations with me. Like I said, between the ages of 10 all the way till I actually graduated high school. We used to go wakeboarding. They brought me with their events, made me part of their family, but I always listened to his conversations because he had good information. They were conversations that most adults and stuff would have, but I would listen, right? And I remember very specifically, he's like, go to school. I'm like, but why? I was like, did you ever go to school? He owned a business. It's called Samson Engineering. And I like to joke about it because my aunt came home one day and worked for him, and she said, I dropped a 40-pound vibrator on my foot. And I'm like, oh my gosh. She's like, not that kind of vibrator. It's a vibrator that you put in the cement.
Like
Concrete and feed and all that stuff. But he's a reseller and all that.
Same concept, just different sizes.
Exactly. You put in polyacoutaments, right?
I ain't gonna lie, my mind just went, woo, when you said that.
Mine too, and I was young and I knew all that was, and I was like, whoa. And she's no, not that guy. But, he would tell me, I'm like, did you ever go to school? I was like, what did you go to school for? Because he never really talked about it until this specific conversation. He was actually dropping me off at home, and he was like, yeah, I went to school. I was like, what'd you go to school for? And I swear he told me, like, dentistry. I'm like, he's like, you don't need to use your degree, but go to school to do better for yourself. You got to want to do better. And actually, thinking about it, my old director I was talking about said you got to want to, kind of plays into that too. You got to want to do something good for yourself. Try to succeed. Because if you don't, then it's easy to go down the wrong path.
Very easy.
Yeah. So, I just wanted to bring that around. Do you guys have, you already mentioned you don't have like mentors that you rely on other than each other and silently maybe Aaron, all of these things are positive things that we can bring out of it though, Oh, Jackie, call me. I don't know. Send the voicemail real quick. So the next thing, you want to add anything to that?
No.
Anything? Mm-mm. The next thing I'm going to go is into the clichés.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Clichés are there for a reason. Right? Why do you think, if you look around our house, we have a lot of sayings, a lot of, on the pictures and stuff, inspirational quotes and all those types of things. Do you rely on those things at all in life? Do you think they matter to you?
Oh, definitely.
Do you have any that are good that you rely on more often? Sorry, my brother's texting me at the same time.
You could probably tell me better what I say on a regular basis more than.
I really can't think of anything. I mean, I'm not one that really. There are some things that I can think of that I've said, kind of like you always get what you pay for.
Mm.
I'm one that
Don't buy cheap shit. Is that what you mean? Is that what that means?
kind of, but in other ways.
Or in life?
A little bit of both.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of both. Another one I'll use sometimes, but it's one on the funny side is you can dress both, you can't take them. I like to say that sometimes. A majority of the time over the last few years though, just dumbass.
Mm-hmm.
I will say Red Foreman I can, if there was a, if if there was a mentor that's kind of that is
Entertainment based.
yeah, that's entertainment based, and Red Foreman would definitely be him because to me he was just a guy trying to live his life. He had a bunch of dumbasses all around him. I mean, that's
So the one thing you said a minute ago about you can dress them up, but you can't take it anywhere, is that referring to somebody that, you know, might look good and everything, but they're really not a good person?
there's that, and then there's the way sometimes somebody might be a little goofier than they normally are, and it's just more of a comical thing. Well, you dress them up, can't take them nowhere. Kind of like that. It's kind of like the southern thing of, oh, bless his heart, according to how you say it, what tone you say it in, it has those different meanings. Like, oh, bless his heart. He's kind of like, he's just a little, he's a little out there, but he's still pretty good or whatever. I mean, it's just that.
Another one of his is, oh, well, there's the dumbass of the day.
So some of these, you know, clichés or whatever, that they're overused, you know, so like played out or whatever. Like one that I hear, and we've said it quite often actually around here lately, is you can lead a horse to water,
You
right?
can't make it drink.
Can't make it drink, right? Or I can open the door for you, but you got to walk through it. You know what I mean? These are. I like the later one because that's one that someone told me at one point, and I've used it several times. You know, teaching somebody something or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, thank you, thank you." I'm like, "Look, all this training, all this stuff is just that. You know, I've opened that door. Right now, it's up to you to use that knowledge and move forward with it. If you do nothing with it, this was just a waste of time. Think me all you want, but it was no good, right?" So it's pretty much the same concept. You lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Well, sometimes you're making the people drink and they're still not taking it in, so that's on them, right? But bring it back to the mentorship. If we're continuing to push those people, continuing to let them know we're here for them, I'll still be here to train you. I'm here to keep you moving you forward. That's the difference. You know what I mean?
But see, you could have brought the bucket to the horse at a time where it wasn't ready to drink.
True.
You know, the whole point of leading it to the bucket is so it knows where it's at until it gets that pattern down. When you turn your back, that horse walks right up and drinks on its own. It doesn't need you to carry it to them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But
One of
like you say, is you got to meet somebody where they are.
right.
Line
Yeah, not where meet people where they are currently, not where you expect them to be or want them to be.
Or even where they want to be. They're just not ready.
Yeah, well, yeah, they're not even ready. And half the time they haven't even committed.
Right.
You know, one of my all-time favorite ones. They still do not know who wrote this originally. It's yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. Today is a gift. That's why we call it the present. And I tell everybody, stay present. Stay in the moment. You can't worry about yesterday. It's gone. You can't fix it. There's no hot tub time machine.
Why do you think he's walking away and looking away from it? Like, it's gone. It's behind me. No more.
You can,
This is my past.
right, you can look towards the future, but don't. The people get stuck in the past and they live and dwell on that shit.
They live in
And
the
then
time.
they forecast like crazy. Oh, this is coming in the future and I'm not ready for this. Stop. Just worry about today.
Right.
Because you got 24 hours. And thank Jesus you only get 24. Because if there was 28, you would worry for 28 hours. Worry about this. Don't even worry about it. Just be present in this moment.
You got something to say?
Yeah, it's, for some folks it's easy to say that, but for most of us, it's hard to do that.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
is
Oh, I know that.
extremely hard. I will find myself,
We're going to get to that, brother.
I will find myself harping on stuff,
Oh, yeah.
and I'm one of the world's worst about it. I struggle with that every single day.
I think we all do, though. I mean, to a point, everybody does. With certain things, to a certain extent. Like, I think, for instance, the way my kids don't do their dishes, right? I will harp on that, or don't take care of things. Like, it's very frustrating, and it's kind of like hanging on to something that, in the end, doesn't matter, It does, because they should be listening and learning and stop doing the same things over and over and over. You know what I mean? It's maybe on a different level, but similar concept.
That reminds me, my favorite cliche is don't sweat the small stuff.
Right.
Oh, we have one kind of like those. Focus on the little things, because one day you'll realize they were the big things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the little things in life. It's kind of opposite of what you're saying with that, but the little things also are big things. You know, showing up to your kids' baseball games, taking them to their practices, making sure that they know how to tie their shoes and spending that time with them. Those things, those little things matter. These small conversations that we have with our kids, I'm going to continue to have them. They hate them, but I'm going to continue to have them, because one day they're going to realize, oh, this is why Dad was doing this for us. You know, don't sweat small things, but a lot of the other small things in life are the things that really matter, because they turn into big things.
Because he said a while back that he cherished that he was going to cherish the time that Kenna wants to spend with him, because there's going to come a time when she's not going to want to spend time with Pappy.
100%. But I think it'll come full circle. I mean, I don't have grandkids or anything, but I am a grandchild, and I am a child myself. And I know, you know, it goes in cycles, and we know this, and it's hard to accept, but, you know, we have to. It's life.
Well,
You know?
I mean, I look at it in a way of, I try to have the understanding of that, of the way I look at it is, well, most kids, when they become teenagers, they don't want anything to do with their parents, where one time they wouldn't, they were basically chained to their side.
Right up their butts. You can't get away from them, can't separate them.
Well, you can, but I mean, it's there's child laws and all that. But I mean, yeah, just honestly, when it comes to the haunt, I think that was one of the biggest reasons me and her got involved with it. We had fun. I told you, we've done haunts years ago.
Right.
But when Kenna, ever since we went to the first one that y'all had, she was really wanting to do it. But then she kind of hit the age this year, and Aaron started talking to us early on.
Right.
And I was kind of like, I'll see. I don't ever give definite. I won't give you a definite answer, because I don't want to commit myself, and because I don't want to disappoint you.
Right.
So when it came time, it was like, okay, I'll ride over there and see what we got going on, and it just slowly progressed from there. Me being resistant, and a little less resistant, a little less resistant, but it was more to support Kenna, because Kenna really wanted to. Kenna wanted to do
You've been
this.
killing it. To say the least.
Yeah. And honestly, when it came to that, I had to, the way the haunt was, I had to adapt to that, because it's like, I didn't know everybody, so I wanted, it's like, I
We didn't either.
wanted to like be in one spot, be right here, but then I had to learn to let that go, and when I did that, she went to another area, and I was told she just knocked it out.
Oh, absolutely. And you were killing it there, you know, and it was the perfect move too. And it had to get broken up. We had to do
Oh,
that
yeah, I get that.
because it was just back to back adrenaline. These people were practically passing out before they even got to the funhouse.
We're going to do it again this year, brother. It'll be bigger and better. This is one that recently came up. I'm going to call it a cliche or an inspirational thing, but don't aim to be the best, aim to keep getting better. We mentioned this one last week, right? It's semi-cliche, right? Don't try to perfect everything, you know, because if you try to focus on perfecting it, you're probably going to get stuck in a position, right? Focus on moving forward and making it happen. And then the other one is, I mentioned as well, as above my desk at work, is even when I'm not good, I'm good, because when I wasn't good, I was good. You know, I made it through all this shit, you know, that we don't want to look back on, because that's not going to define us. I wasn't good a lot of times, but I'm still here, so I was good. so I know I'm going to be good no matter what I'm faced with. So, I think some of them can be negative as well. You know, we talked about the very first podcast where you know, suck it up, be a man, suck it up, buttercup, those types of things. They could be perceived as a negative context at times, depending upon how you use it and who you say it to, right?
Have you ever heard the one that, have you ever heard the one where the cliche of, when you get paid, pay yourself first? Because you're the one that earned all the money. And if you take your paycheck and take care of all the responsibilities and then you have nothing left for yourself, then you're not rewarding yourself for the work that you did
Right.
to make the money.
I think I literally just had this conversation with Landon and Jolie this week, right? Learn to live off of 80%. If you can learn to live off of 80% now at such a young age, you will thrive later in life. You will flourish, you will grow, you never have to have a worry ever again. If you're living to paycheck now, you're going to continue to live paycheck to paycheck because you're not learning how to control your spending, right? So it takes positive influence to let them know, like, Landon's 19 now, right? He needed a battery. I wasn't going to pay for the battery, right? I mean, I could have. Should I let him be stranded and all that? No, I'm not going to be stranded. He'll figure it out. And he did. His uncle helped him out a little bit, and he's got to pay him back. But I made it a point, I'm not doing it because you will not learn how to handle these things on your own, right? I say all this because, you know, you said you pay yourself before you pay anybody. That's important. You got to be able to support yourself. You got to be able to take care of yourself. You also got to be able to make sure you plan for the future. You know what I mean? So, what about quotes and verses? We talked about this before we kicked off. What's one that we talked about that is we say it all the time, and you mentioned one of a bike club, right?
Oh, yeah, the 2717. As one man sharpens another, as iron sharpens iron, so one man will sharpen another.
Right. And that's one we say all the time. I'm actually going to get it tattooed all across my chest, my stomach right here.
One I use, and I actually have it tattooed on my arm, I heard it in a Struggle Hitting song. It's just a quick verse. It's only kneel to my God's on down. And that just, at the time, stuff I was going through, it kind of reminded me. It just reminded me of a lot of stuff, and I will basically, the way I look at it, the way I like to do things, is I'm not going to kneel down to any man.
Right.
I'm not going to kneel down to anybody. And even if I have to walk away, I'm going to still do things that I feel are the right one. It may not always be right to somebody else, just like somebody can look at me and go, well, you're just an a-hole. Okay, you tell me something I don't know.
Right.
But I'll still try to respect anybody that respects me. That's the quickest way to get something out of me. And like the haunt, there's never been anything but respect for every single person around here. Everybody seems to respect everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But
We try to.
I know there have been these little pieces that have not fit in, but they work themselves out over time. But that is just something that sticks to me, and because like church, I'll read the Bible. I've read the Bible front and back several times in my life. I agree with parts of it, parts I don't agree with. I won't get into all that because we have our opinions.
Mm-hmm.
But
We already had that podcast.
But
We'll circle back.
I don't, and I think I even commented this, the building is not the church. I mean,
Okay.
just us 3-4 sitting here
Right.
is the church. But,
What is it? 2 or more speaking in my name
yeah, yeah.
or his name.
I got tired of, and this is where you hear church people always say, well, your problem isn't with the church, your problem is with you. You know, my problem is with different church buildings or congregations. They have this, there's a lot of them that have this mentality, if you're not doing it our way, you're doing it the wrong way.
Mhm.
Right.
That's not me.
Don't hate me because I
That's
sin
not-
differently than you.
I'm going to do stuff.
That's one of the sayings that I recently picked
I'm
up.
going to do, I'm the type person, and this might be a little selfish, but I'm going to do what suits me, whether it be productive for me or not productive for me, if that makes sense. I mean, even my age, we still all make mistakes.
Oh yeah, we're human.
So, I mean, just like the other night, because like I said, the last 3 weeks medically have been insane for our household. And there was one night I was just feeling beat up. And I sat there and again, I'm glad she loves me because we don't usually watch her television shows. We spend a lot of our time watching YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And I just sat there and got on YouTube Music and just watching videos of songs and musicians that through some that have gotten me through some of the toughest times in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them is by a artist called Crucifix, and one of his songs is "My Way." She said, "When you die, I'm gonna have it played at your funeral."
Well, the music will soothe the soul. You know.
Yeah,
That's going to be another
Because he knows
podcast.
I'm living life my way.
Yep.
yeah. I mean, I still do what has to be done the way it needs to be done, but in the end, it's going to be something that's
Naturally, be a good
Good
person,
for me.
and sometimes you do have to focus on yourself because if you don't, who else is going to?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you know the whole mindset and everything. Like the big one to me, iron sharpens iron. Some people refer it to a Bible verse, Proverbs 27:20 or 27:17.
it's 27-17.
Yep. Iron sharpens iron is, we're here to make each other better, right? We're here to, pick each other up, hold each other accountable, because we are human, we are going to make mistakes. And I think that's the whole intention of that verse right there, is to be there for one another, make each other stronger. We're making mistakes, call us out on those mistakes, but to your point, like, you're going to do what's right for you, and like, I just didn't really have an argument with my brother last night. He was upset because I was telling him what he needed to hear, not what he wanted to hear. And he's like, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. I was like, well, and I told him straight up, just because you don't want me to tell you doesn't mean I'm not going to tell you, because you need to hear it. Like, you would do the same thing to me, right? This iron sharpens iron. We have stuck onto this, and it has helped us grow so much. He bought us both the signs. One's above my door in my office. I walk out, it's right there. His is pretty much in a similar spot in his house. Iron sharpens iron, you hear us say it all the time. And another one coming up, we'll talk about as well, we say all the time that you can apply to life. But are there any quotes or anything like that you rely on or repeat often that help you or have helped you?
Well, that's the one that I quoted was one of my favorites. Definitely. So a lot of people say it's beaten to death, but it's the truth. You can lead the horse through the water, but you can't make them drink it.
Right.
Just like the door. The whole thing with the door.
I wanted to put this up here because you think I like sayings. I've been doing this pin collection over the past month or so, and a lot of these are sayings because some of them I can't read online. All right, well, one of them says you should have been swallowed.
Yeah.
But one of these is kind of this. You'll probably like this one. In order to insult me, I must first value your opinion. Nice try, though.
I've got one that she got me a sign a couple of Christmases ago that's in my office that says, "Do not disturb. I'm disturbed enough already."
I've seen you post that actually. This one there's two here. You know, a lot of people are against gay people and stuff like that. Gay people are people just like everybody else. This one right here, and whoever's listening can agree or disagree, but I'd rather be excluded for who I include than be included for who I exclude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then another one is proud ally. I may be straight, but I don't hate.
Well, see, that going back to my job, in my job, I do work with a lot of trans, gay, the LGBT community. And I've got my own opinion on things, but I don't put that off on somebody else because who says that I'm right or wrong?
Right.
I know what the Bible says and whatnot, but that's.
But the Bible is what you follow. That doesn't mean everybody else follows it.
I know that, but what I'm getting at is that doesn't take away from a person's heart.
Right.
That a lot of people I meet and that I work with, they just want to live their lives. They don't want to be bothered. They want to be left alone. That's how I try to live my life. Don't bother me. Leave me alone, and I won't bother you, and I'll leave you alone.
Right.
It's not our place to judge.
There's
Exactly.
been once or twice that I've tried to do the right thing. I think it was actually one time I tried to do the right thing last year that probably would have gotten me killed because of what I was trying to do. I won't go into details, but it was one of those things that when I come home, my adrenaline was just starting to come down. And I was telling Aaron, you make sure you teach Kenna not to ever get involved with this type of person.
Right.
And if she does, then she automatically needs to defend herself when this person goes from this type of character to this type of character. Don't take no in-betweens automatically just go to judgment. But I had one in there who telling me, you were sitting there trying to do the right thing, but if that person had pulled something and killed you,
Right.
you wouldn't be here for us. So it kind of like I'm not saying I'm gonna do the right thing, but you do need you got to remember you got people that rely on you, and you trying to do the right thing can affect them.
Well, I see that 100%, but sometimes doing the right thing, to me, is worth dying over.
Yeah, you're right.
Basically, that shows that, you know, and you wouldn't be dying in vain. That's how I feel.
Well, what happened, just to say what happened, you had a lady that was walking across the parking lot, and you had a guy that was telling her to get herself in the car. And I was in the parking lot. And he pulls up and blocks her. And I went walking across the parking lot hollering out to him, she don't get in the car, you're wrong. Well, then he immediately drops up and hops up out of the car and starts, what would you say? And it led to him in my face running his mouth, me daring him, if you're going to do something, to do it. And the whole time she's like, I'm getting in the car, get back over here, get in the car. If he had done something, but then she winds up getting in the car.
Right. Well,
That's that real fine line that we walk as chivalrous men, I guess, or just person trying to do the right thing.
right.
She wound up getting in the car anyway.
Is it worth dying over? You know,
You can do
the right thing, but not put yourself in the same situation. It's a fine line, like you said. It's hard to judge those things.
Yeah, but it was one of those things that Jack and I dreamed of and dropped it, but I'm getting lost here, so I'm gonna shut up.
And it also causes people in today's times and how quickly people are to come out armed and shooting, it puts people at a distance. They don't want to get it. I'll just keep walking.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just keep moving because I don't know, they could be carrying a gun.
Right.
So I just need to keep moving. And you don't get involved. So
I think
it goes both ways there.
well, you see people pull out their cell phones and stuff instead of trying to help, right? That's society, and it's this is a cycle I think we're going through.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
it'll come back around, I think.
Oh yeah, I believe everything goes in cycles from the weather to just life itself.
Right. So we talked about the cliches. We talked about some quotes and verses and things like that. However we want to look at it. I want to bring forth a
Don't talk
concept.
about it, do it.
Don't talk about it, do it. That's one that we've been saying a lot, because it goes back to the mindset, right? If you're sitting there talking and talking and talking, you don't take any action, that's all you're doing is talking. It's a dream. Dreams don't come true. Some people believe in dreams. Dreams don't come true. If it comes true, it's because you've been thinking about it so much and you've been putting action into making it happen, more than likely. That's probably the reality of it. Again, these are opinions. These aren't facts. These are my opinions, and our opinions. But
there's truth in that.
yeah.
If you're just sitting there talking, oh, I'm going to do this, and guess what? It's still not happening.
Yep.
Stop, just shut up and do it. That's it.
Yep. How do you think he felt about when I told him the other night? I said, hold on, stand right there. We'll bring it back. I brought my brother a coloring book and some crayons because he's like talking. I'm like, just color.
Sit down and color.
Show them color. Be over. Be done with it. It's not helping. Move on from this. Right? You're just dragging yourself down. So the next concept I want to bring up is I got this at a couple jobs ago from one of my silent mentors, but no, she knows that she's played an influence and role in my life. But one of the things is accept, change, leave. When I was at that job, I had this, after this talk I had this above my monitor until I left that job, right? Because it got to the point where I had to leave. So this concept is, in life, at the time it was just related to work, right? You can accept what the hell is going on. You can take effort to change what's going on, or it comes time where you got to leave, right? And that's a cycle, right? Or an iterative process. And you can apply this concept in life through marriage, through friendships, through work, through driving in traffic, Accept, oh, there's a train coming, perfect example. You can accept to sit there and wait for the train. You could change it, find another route, right? Or you could just completely leave the situation, right? Don't even go anywhere. Forget the train, just go back home. You know what I mean? Work. It gets to the point where, like, if you want to do well, sometimes you have to accept it, right? Or you have to put forth effort to change what's going on to make a better environment, right? Something's not right. Change it, right? Do something to change it. Stop talking about it. Do it, right? Or if you're doing all those things, you don't want to accept it, you can't change it because you've been doing all these things and it's causing too much stress in your life, maybe it's time to leave, right? So the ACL concept is something that I've applied over the past several years, and it has transformed my thought process in a huge way, right? And this is something that, my brother mentions all the ACL, because it's like, what are we doing? I'm tired of this. Well, don't accept it. Change it. And don't talk about changing it. Fucking do something to change it. And if it's not helping, leave the situation, whatever it is. Leave it. It's not worth it. Do you guys have any similar concepts that you apply, or does that concept make sense?
That concept makes sense. I mean, I can't think of anything that I can apply to that.
You think you could apply that concept in life, ACL? I forget who. This came out of some training and mentorship session that manager went through, but I've taken it and I've applied it because I didn't take it just at work. I applied it at that job and I finally left. It's just too much, going on, and a lot was happening and all that. It was time to leave because it was too much stress.
Well, I mean, we just picked up a new director at work. And she's been there 2 weeks, so she's still learning. She's kind of watching what we do. She sat down and talked to all the supervisors, and one thing I was fearful of is a micromanager. I can't function under a micromanager.
No, we talked about this.
So that was one of her first things. I'm not a micromanager because I've got too much going on to worry about y'all.
I hired you to do the job.
Exactly. So, and that's what I was talking about the people, my bosses and managers, and because there's a lot of us, because we're probably about 50 people fully staffed. So there's a lot of us, and that's one thing I talk about. As long as I don't get a phone call, then that tells me I'm doing my job right. And so, what I'm getting at is, you talk about the ACL, accept, change, leave. I will accept change because I know each director is going to run it their own way. She's going to probably be there a couple of months and then go, I think we can improve transportation by doing this. And I'll look at it and I will try to figure out how to make it work. If I'm anything, I'm going to adapt. I will try to figure out how to make it work. And if I can't, then I'll go to her with not.
You'll accept what she's presenting.
Yeah, I will
change.
Yeah.
Or change the process, help the process.
Yeah, I will go to her. I'm not going to go, no, this won't work. I'm going to go to her with, okay, this is the reason, look at these numbers, because luckily everything we do is number-based, so we have our quality control people that everything works off numbers.
Don't have a number, there's no way to present how useful
Oh, yeah.
it is.
Right.
Oh, yeah. So,
If you're effective.
And that's the justification either way.
yeah, but I'll try to make it work, because this is the place I plan on retiring from,
Right.
so I'm too old to go anywhere else.
Right.
So,
So you'll accept it, or you'll try to influence change.
Yeah.
Right. To
yeah.
Adapt.
and I've always told this. Just because you're a manager or the owner doesn't mean you have to say yes.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Trust me,
I'm not saying I'm a rebellious person or anything like that, but I question the status quo. Especially when someone says, we've been doing this for 20 years. 20 years, it's 2025. You know what's changed over the past 5 years?
There used to be this gospel group we listened to, and one of his favorite sayings was, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was one of his favorite sayings, and you just saying that just jumped out right out to me.
What have we been saying lately too? You know, what's the definition of insanity?
Oh, yeah.
Doing the same thing over and over, doing the same thing the same way over and over and over.
And
Expecting a different
Yeah.
result.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, if the result you're getting is not sufficient or making sense, stop doing the same thing. You know, change it.
Well, that ACL kind of applies to a work situation that I had, but I did it wasn't in that exact progression. I had working with an assistant manager that is a micromanager at times. And there just became this point where it seemed like that she was just constantly berating me about something. She was criticizing just anything and everything. It's like I couldn't do anything right. And I got to a point where I was feeling like, okay, I felt like I was working with two left hands, trying to walk with two left feet. It's like I was so afraid to be criticized that I was just not, I wasn't doing it very good, and it just it just kept snowballing and snowballing, and I was like, I can't keep working. So I made a decision, quote, my change was I called my director and said, I don't think I want to work in this school with this person. can you move me somewhere? Do you have anywhere you can move me to? And I left it at that. It's not like I'm pressured. She said, give me a few days, let me see what I can do. Well, at the same time, I wasn't really convinced I wanted to leave. I just needed to make some change. And something happened where me, her, and the manager ended up in an office last week, or a week ago. And there were some misunderstandings and hurt feelings from her that she was there was some misunderstanding and hurt feelings that I had that we hashed out in the office.
I'm glad this is where you took it, because this is where my mind wanted to take it.
We hashed this out in the office. I had been holding on to these things and just, and she was doing this, but yet she was lashing out at me from the misunderstandings
People
that
handle
she
things
had.
differently.
Because she was the manager, I was trying to be respectful and not snap back at her. And once we cleared the air, and once she understood where I was misunderstanding, and I understood where she was misunderstanding, everything seems to be back to the way it used to be.
Right.
And we were working
This is awesome.
cohesively and in harmony. I don't have a desire, I have
Probably more productive as well.
Huh?
Probably a more productive environment.
Yeah. And so it was that, it was kind of, it wasn't an ACL to where, okay, if this is not working, and I just kind of did it in the reverse, but
Well,
then
you didn't want to
I made the
accept it.
decision to leave, but then I wanted to change, see if I could change to stay.
Right. Well, and I said, and I've gone back and forth with how I try to apply this concept, because accept, change, leave. You're not going to accept it if you try to change it, or you're going to leave. Well, you're not going to accept it if you try to change it. Now, is it acceptable? No. Okay. Do we still want to keep trying to change it, or is it never going to change and then it's time to leave? So it's kind of an evolving process in my mind,
Situation.
Yep. Because some things you're just not going to accept.
Right.
It's not fair to accept and all that. So you do change it, right? Things change. Now is it at an acceptable level? No. So we got to keep changing, or it's just the progress isn't happening as fast as it should, or we would expect. So maybe it's time to leave. You were talking about that. My mind was going, I wanted to challenge that with, well, the best way, and this is the approach I try to take, is approaching the problem face front. Did you confront that person? I'm glad you said that, because that is a perfect example of what I wanted to say about this. Is a mentor of mine has told me, you cannot, I can't read your mind, right? So if I do something that offends you because of my personality or whatever, if I joke around or say something and it offends you and you don't tell me, how am I supposed to know? And then you're holding a grudge against me and I don't know it, and that's going to naturally cause tension and problems between us. Well, if you told me it offended you, me as a person wants to do better and make sure I don't do those things, or I hope we understand each other enough to say, you hear me saying to somebody else, hey, you shouldn't be doing that. Like this iron sharpens iron thing, see how this all comes together? You tie all these concepts together, it helps us naturally try to be a better person. And that's the goal of what I'm doing with all of this. You know what I mean? You got something to say?
No, I'm bad, so I'll breathe heavy.
Oh. You look like you're smiling at me like...
No, I'm just...
One of them's hurt people.
True. Very true.
And that's right along that.
I remember one time years ago I talked to a therapist that tried to give me a copy of that book to read, but I never could.
Which book?
There's a book, I can't remember who the author is, that is hurt people.
Hurt people. Let's see if I can pull it up. So, how about you, JoJo? How do you think any type of concepts or anything like that, accept, change, leave, ACL, is any similar type concepts or that you apply in life?
Well, I think a lot of them I've always said, if you read the AA or the NA Bible and you look at, you know, your list of steps, like if the whole world applied those in daily life, I think we would understand what utopia is, or be pretty damn close. Life's unmanageable at times for all of us. You don't even have to have drugs and alcohol
Even if
into
we
the
don't admit it.
equation. Yeah. And, admitting to things like that and then working through the steps to work through those processes through your marriage or through with, like your children and stuff like that. Like all of that. Like it can definitely, you can go through all of that stuff. So when I hear those, just like God grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I mean, that's huge.
Right.
A lot of people don't
Amanda's grandmother
see
has
those.
that on her wall.
Yeah.
I always look for those types of things because they're inspirational. And you know how social media works, right? If you're in a positive mindset and you start looking at those things and you focus on it long enough, that's all that's going to be on your feed.
In your
That's
feed.
all that's been on my feed for the past several months because I'm making a very intentional, trying to make a very intentional change. Like I falter, but that's all that is on my feeds now.
Yeah, but if you go to like in TikTok and you go to Sad Boy Hub and all the other stuff and you get all these depressing songs and it's raining and the little cartoons, right? It's gonna, your whole feed is gonna be, yep.
You know what I mean?
The Hurt People book is Hope and Healing for Yourself and Relationships is by Sandra D. Wilson.
Yeah, I see that here. Got good reviews. For people who has more than a clever phrase, it's a sad truth. People, misery loves company, kind of the same thing, right?
Well, and people that are deeply damaged, it's very easy for them to return that favor the best way that they can to try to balance the book
Right.
in their mindset, And when we're damaged and when we're hurt, especially deeply, we don't want all the coddle me, encourage me, let's hug it out, I'll let you cry it out. No, back the fuck off. Leave me alone.
Right.
I'm hurt. And if you don't want to be hurt, then you better back up. But if you're going to sit there, you're going to get it.
Right.
As I'm not ready.
That's strong mindset right there. Yeah. Yep. All right, so we're going to bring in a little bit of last week's. Damn, this is flowing so perfectly.
It does every week, it seems like.
So we talked about our mindsets and everything like that, right? The loser mindset will dwell on mistakes and focus on the mistakes and, oh, I can never do right, I can never do good. However, taking those mistakes and turning them as what? Opportunities, right?
Or challenges.
Or challenges, right? An opportunity to learn.
Speed bumps.
Yep. But if you focus on those things, we have to understand that mistakes are inevitable in life. We're human. We're going to make mistakes. If we think we're not ever going to make a mistake, we're living in a lie.
Denial.
Yeah. So, but along those lines is having a good circle around you to help you pick you up when you're down, or when you make a mistake, holding you accountable for that mistake, even if you're not ready to hold yourself accountable. But we have to be able to take those mistakes and grow from them, learn from them, other people's mistakes as well. I've tried to apply that myself, seeing other people, like I mentioned, my brother, thank God, this sounds bad, but thank God he went through it so I didn't have to, I'm sad that he went through it,
right.
But that's where he was at that point in life, and that's what he had to go through. But where he is now, especially from his mindset and everything, is just...
But where is his mindset with that in what you just stated? How does his mind see that? He is grateful that he went through that so you would not have to.
Absolutely. So he's learned...
And that you were a visual child and young man to recognize the things that he was trying to explain to you and teach you and all this stuff, instead of, oh, you're just a fucking idiot. just keep doing whatever you're gonna do. You're gonna die,
Right.
and then go out and start doing that stuff too. You know what I
Been
mean?
easy.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, since we're circling back, I thought a lot, or not a lot, but a little bit about the winner or loser mindset in the discussion last week. And I kind of feel like that was taking everything and just put it into two very small categories of the bigger picture, because there are all sorts of ways, just like with me, my mindset, I would say it's a survivor mindset because of everything, trauma and things that I have gone through when I was a kid that have rolled into my everyday life. I mean, even this past week, if it weren't for her and some of the people at work, I would have had a very rough week. Because there were some things that triggered from when I was a child.
Mm-hmm.
I had talked to therapists, and I probably more than I could count on both fingers and toes. One thing I have always discovered is this going in circles, trying to rehash stuff.
Oh yes.
I had someone yesterday at work.
What'd you call it?
Cyclic behaviors,
Oh, yeah.
conversation.
Yeah,
Very cyclical.
I think it's a sick and cruel thing I was told.
Mm-hmm.
But it's only to the point. Only to I don't rehash.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand how the other person feels. I want to be understood how I feel and what can I do to attach this, because in the last month I have felt like I have reverted in a lot of ways back to, and when I say when I'm talking about is like my attitude and toward a lot of things, screw this, screw you, screw it all, and I try to work past that, and anger issues have bowled back up. And I have had conversations with God that God failed. God failed. No matter who you believe in, whatever, me, I believe in God because my faith is what got me through a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like there's all sorts of different aspects for every person. And like I just said, mine is a survivor attitude of trying to do what I can to make it sometimes day to day without without that's the best way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know consequences. I think about consequences. So my attitude is, okay, if I were to do this thing that would permanently take me out of this world, then the consequences are, okay,
They no longer have you.
they no longer have me, I have to pay them, and I've even went as far as, okay, my life insurance that I have would not pay out, and stuff like that. And I do think about those consequences, but it is easy to think about those things when you're just being bombarded, and it's that bombardment of they're just going to keep coming at you. They're just going to keep coming at you. And one of these times, they're going to get through.
They're going to succeed.
Yeah.
I'm going to challenge you with this, because I've struggled with this a while back. Yes, it is easier said than done, 100%. However, if you don't make a conscious effort to change it, like you have to take steps, and it's hard to do if you don't make a very conscious effort. One of the things is looking at those positive things on Facebook. If you're on Facebook a lot, you said you're on YouTube and things like that, watch those positive things. Watch Jordan Peterson. Watch these things, and the more you have those things in your life, it's going to trigger things in your mind to be positive. But if you focus on those negative things, it's going to be easy to get sucked back down into there. I know it's hard. I promise you it's hard. And lean on the people that are around you. We can talk about these things.
But see, there are some folks like me, even though I know y'all feel, I feel like putting my problems all of them.
Well, you have problems that we probably have as well that would help to talk about.
That's right. Yeah, you can't look at it as a burden.
He has always felt like people have their own little bag of burdens they're carrying around. Why do they want to help me with mine?
Because they don't want to see you going through the same things.
Right.
What about Robin Williams, who said this thing a lot? You know, he tried to make people happy because he knows what it's like to not be happy.
Yeah, I watched
Something along those lines.
I pulled up something because someone was going to look back on him, and I actually looked at something because he didn't want his family when I think he was diagnosed with some kind of dementia.
Oh, and it's a much more
And
gripping and damaging than that. But yeah.
he was on the verge of that, and he was trying to keep his family from being
Put through that.
being put through that.
And to watch him suffer to a
He's
level
always
that
had
he's going to.
trouble reaching out and asking for or leaning on friends.
So see, for us, it's not even an ask. If you're out there sitting around the fire and stuff like that, we can go right over here or whatever,
It's like on Saturday was a rough day.
all around.
All around, but that 5-6 hours that I was out here,
I'm glad you came out.
it was a great time. Because I had some kind of post because I wasn't here. This past weekend was I trying to bring some familiarity to air.
I don't think I could say that.
It was, that's what I was kind of focused on, was Wanda and Kim were there, and her mother-in-law, her dad's wife is down there, and I went down there together. Because we all get along.
Right.
And they went down together to see and support her, and I think that her good in her spirit. So I knew Brady was kind of wanting to see Kenna, and I think that the Kenna, she was more focused on her mama. But I think just seeing everybody for a brief second to know all these people asking about her, because Karina was definitely asking about her. Everybody was. And it's just good to be able to do that. But then I went home, everything was fine, and I was kind of relaxed through the day on Sunday, and then about 1:30, everything took a damn slide.
Right.
So,
Well, those battles don't have to win. Those problems, those challenges don't have to win. You know what I mean? If you let them win, they're going to win. If you let them hold on, they're going to hold on, and they're going to take you down. And that's one of the reasons I got tired of talking about all this and doing something about it, right? Even if it's 2 people watching, I already know we've made positive influences and things like that. People reaching out to me all throughout the week talking about the podcast. But I'm doing it for a very intentional reason. You know what I mean? Because you have to make a conscious effort to get yourself out of that mindset. And I have to stay busy, because if I get stuck and if I stay low and I get in my mind, that's when the darkness comes out, and that's not a good place. I know it's not a good place.
well, most
Well,
of the
it's very
time,
hard when those difficulties and those challenges and those the negativity is family.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it definitely can be. However,
I moved
just
13 and a half hours away from it for a reason.
Either.
Right.
When they're in the same household, it's kind of hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of hard to exclude people living in the same household.
You're talking about each other?
No.
No.
I don't want to go
I got you. We can talk about it later if you want, or not. No, I understand that. And sometimes it's best thing to do is confront it, like we talked about earlier, right? That's the best way to handle a situation. It's uncomfortable as hell, harder to do than just to say it, but sometimes it's what's needed to be done to make a change. You know what I mean? So, and we talked about this already, but life is a process flow, right? We go through these things. We're always a work in progress, every one of us. Sometimes we fall, sometimes we falter, but iron sharpens iron. We're here to help each other through. Applying different concepts that you hear from people or we talked about tonight, Is this something we're going to continue to accept? We're tired of seeing all these problems and issues and all that. Are we ready to invoke change, try to make a change? Or is it time to leave, right? You can go right into the conversation we just had. If you want to talk about it later, you're not a burden.
I just don't want to do it all.
No, I completely understand that.
But, life is a process that we have to process through this process called life.
Right. Well,
You know?
it's if you think about it, it's a process, it's a flow, pretty much like a flow chart, a decision chart. You run into this fork, okay, this is going on, you got this, you got this. And sometimes you got other ones, but a lot of times there's a couple different choices that we can make, right? We make this decision because it's the right decision. No matter what decision you make at that point in your life, it was the right decision. Could have been bad, but you're going to learn from that more than likely. If you don't, then you're not making the right efforts, right? Again, my opinions, but it is a flow chart. A lot of my tattoos, right, are about these paths, honestly, because I let life guide me, right? I've made a lot of bad decisions and wrong decisions. However, I've always taken and learned and tried to improve from those. Because if you don't, at that point, I truly believe it's a decision that you're making in life. It's not bad luck, it's not this, it's not that. It's a choice you're choosing to do. Again, making the same mistake over and over and over again, expecting a different result, well, it's a decision you're making. You're not doing anything to change it, you're choosing to go down that. If you're focused on, oh, this is going bad in my life, well, you're choosing that path.
Repetitive is easier,
Yep.
and it's more comfortable 9 times out of 10.
Change is good. Embrace change. A lot of people don't like change because they're scared. But that goes back to the mindset discussion we had last week. So, that's it. I got my final closing statements. I'll let it go around. Anybody have anything else to say? Want to add before we close out?
I can't.
Wanda?
No, I can't think of anything.
I appreciate y'all coming. You told me you wanted to join and everything. I think you wanted to join next week. I forget what it is. Either next week or the week after. I'm doing one with Landon, his buddy Danny. We're going to be doing
For music.
Yeah, for music, right? The way music evolves and things like that. And his music is rap. I'll listen to the rap with him. But the whole point of the conversation is, no matter what we believe, we can derail this. When we are arguing and debating over whose music is better, we are bonding. We're forming our bond together.
And that's the great thing about Gen X music. Is there was so much came out of Gen X till like I grew up, I love it all. I mean, there's not too much that I don't. Some of the hip hop
Rock type stuff.
Yeah, and honestly, I do like there's they call it crap, but some of the rap in the country, not all of it, but there's small little pockets that I do like. That I think are pretty good.
Right.
But I've been here lately. I've been on serious radio, keep listening to the 80s all the time. Sometimes the 70s, sometimes I'll listen to the old heavy metal
Right.
stuff.
heavy metal's where it's at for me, honestly. It's what calms me down when I am in a mood. They're like, how does that calm me down? It does.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in a rage, I want the rage to, I want to get on that same beat level, right? And mellow me out.
Well, what I'll do sometimes when I'm on a bike, I will, I'll have my headphones in and have my music on. I'll put something on dance to on the bike. I like to dance with the bike. If I'm going down the road, you see me doing like this. If I stand between those lines, I'm not being reckless. I don't care what any police officer says, I'm not being reckless. And I'm not drunk, I'm just dancing with the bike. Moving to the groove, that's it.
If you see me bobbing my head on my bike, that's what I'm doing.
That's the reason she has her own bike. That's the reason she has her own bike. The music.
Yeah, it's going to be Landon was talking about some stuff last night. I'm like, I'm not talking about it because I want it for the podcast. We're going to talk about this during the podcast. But, so if there's nothing else to say, I'm going to say the final statements here. Think about the mentors or lessons that have shaped your life. Share your favorite quotes, philosophies, personal experiences with us on social media. Inspire each other to keep growing, learning, and moving forward together. Right? The iron sharpens iron thing. If we're here to help each other, hold each other accountable. To your point, you said at one of the lead meeting or whatever, the breakfast, if we all did a little bit every day, the world would be a much better place. And that's what the intention of this is. Again, we all focus on just ourselves and everything. Yeah, the world's going to continue to downfall. Life is about progress, not perfection. It's shaped by the lessons we learn, the mentors we observe, and the philosophies we embrace. Right? We can all interpret what people say differently, but if we don't make those intentional efforts to make a positive thought process out of that, it can easily turn into a negative one. Whether through accountability, reflection, or a decisive action, like I just said, it has to be a conscious effort to make these changes. The power to grow lies within all of us. Right? We're all capable. We're all able bodies, right? But sometimes we need to have others there to help us pull us up.
Or push us along.
Correct.
Push us forward.
Right. The final thing I'm going to say, 3 things, is mentors may guide us, but it's our responsibility to put their lessons into action. Progress isn't about avoiding mistakes, because we're going to make mistakes. It's inevitable. We're human. It's about learning from them and moving forward with a purpose. Right? The next 2 things I'm going to say is these conversations and discussions tonight are not intended to be professional help or counseling or anything like that. These are our personal, humble opinions. I'm not a professional. JoJo has been a professional and used to practice, but this is not intended to be. I will put a disclaimer up here. If you need help for any type of reason, there are numbers and people you can call. Again, you can always come and talk to us, but we are not professionals, and this is not intended to substitute for that. And as always, we have a song that goes along with the topic tonight. I ask that everybody take a little bit of time and listen to the song. And we do have the flyer for our event, Shenanigans Shamrock Escape. There's the dates. We might not be able to read the dates because it's green, so it's going to look transparent. But there it is.
March 15th and 16th.
March 15th and 16th,
From 10 to 7
p.m. at our house at the nonprofit. Be there or be square. We'll talk to y'all later.
Thank you for joining us here on Courage to Converse. Our intention is to discuss tough topics, reflect on personal experiences, and explore paths for growth and understanding. I want to acknowledge that some of these conversations may have touched on sensitive or challenging issues. This podcast is not intended as a substitute for professional advice or support. If you or someone you know is struggling, resources are available to help. In the U.S., you can call or text 988 for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, or text HOME to 741741 to reach the Crisis Text Line. Remember, our goal here is to spark meaningful conversations while fostering respect, understanding, and personal growth. See you next time.
we take, every bridge we cross, the wins we cherish, the lessons from loss. Life's a journey, not a finish line.